Our next question is coming from Alberta Phillips, who is an editorial writer for the Austin American-Statesman.
Tax incentives for big corporations have been in the news. Should the city create tax incentives for small businesses that relocate and expand in Austin the same way that it's offering tax incentives to Apple? How would that work so that it benefits the taxpayers of the city?
Ms. Shea?
This is a very good question, and it's one I often hear from small businesses who look around and see, for instance, the $4.3 million fee waiver for the Marriott Hotel downtown when they were going to build anyway. The mayor says they weren't, but the facts speak otherwise. They'd bought the land, they'd bulldozed Las Manitas, and in 2010, as we were coming out of the recession, they came to the city and asked for variances and an increase in height. Why would a company do that if they weren't going to build? And the mayor also offered to extend that same fee waiver to another hotel chain that's planning on building on the other side of the convention center, the Manchester Group. And they said in news reports that they would come without any public subsidies. So I've heard from many small businesses in the downtown who say, well, what are we going to get? If these big companies that were coming here anyway are getting massive fee waivers, how that tilts the playing field against us. I think it's bad policy to do these giveaways when they are unnecessary. I support strategic, limited subsidies if there are clear community benefits, but not for companies that are coming here anyway, because I don't know where you stop. I'm certain that many other companies will line up and say, we'd like to have a fee waiver as well. So are we going to do that for Motel 6? I mean, where do we stop with these? And I think we do have to find many opportunities to assist and support small business. But frankly, I think in the permitting area and in other ways that the city puts a burden on small businesses, we could provide relief for them by assisting them with making their permits go through the process much faster, and we could find other creative ways to support them. But I think once you go down that path of providing subsidies, where do you stop? So I would not support these kinds of blanket giveaways and then finding that we have to give even more away because people cry foul and say it's unfair.
Mr. Defoe, let's hear from you.
I'm probably different than the other two candidates in the regards that I oppose all incentive packages, whether to major corporations or small business. It's a mistake to believe that the government can intervene and direct the economy by giving special deals to special groups, and that goes for all businesses, small and large. It's a slippery slope, folks, and it's not one that we want to go down because it will put our taxpayers at risk. We should never force businesses to fund their competition through these payments. And once the city gets in the business of picking winners and losers, there's no turning back. I'm afraid what we've seen recently with the council trying to create an ombudsman to create a local incentives program is the wrong direction for City Hall. It's taking the corporate welfare that's been going on and extending it level, and it's not fair, and the people of Austin do not want it. We want the free market to determine who succeeds and fails. It's how it's worked for centuries. Government intervention has always been the wrong way to go. It's always created problems in the market, and I will work to oppose all corporate incentive packages.
Mr. Leffingwell.
Well, first I want to say that the city has entered into 8 different economic agreements over the past few years. All but one of those was approved by a unanimous vote. Every single one was cash positive for our taxpayers, in that our taxpayers don't pay money, they make money on a net basis at the end of the contract period. That was true, every one of those. The Marriott was not actually an economic agreement. It was a simple, it's called a fee waiver, but what it was, we allowed them to use a sidewalk in front on Congress Avenue during the construction period. That's what nearly all of that money was for. And what did we get in return for that? We got a lot. We got 500 prevailing wage construction jobs, and we got 700 permanent jobs for folks who are really going to need that jobs. In addition to that, the taxes generated, property taxes, sales taxes, and hotel taxes are going to repay that fee waiver for use of the sidewalk over and over again. And anybody who says they were going to do this anyway, frankly, just doesn't know what they're talking about. With regard to small businesses, I will say this. We've worked very hard during my term on small businesses. We've convened groups of small business owners to try to find out what they need. We've responded to that. We will continue to do that. Any business is eligible to apply for an economic incentive agreement, and several have. We'll continue to do that because we know how important small business is. About 80% of the businesses in Austin, Texas have fewer than 10 employees, and about 67% of the private sector jobs are in Austin or with companies less than 100 employees, arguably a small business. So we know they're important. We continue to work with them, and as a matter of fact, just last week, according to an article in the Austin Business Journal, Austin, Texas is the best city in America for small business. Among we have many accolades, but that's just one of them.